Hello everybody, it's me, Charlotte, and I am so excited about today's video. I'm sure some of you will not share in my excitement, but you should because this is exciting, for me anyways. I'm going to teach you how to do the brioche stitch. I'm only doing one color today. I will do two colors in the future, but for today, I'm just going to do one color. I think that if you can master the one color brioche, it'll make two colors that much more easy. I love this stitch, guys. I have wanted to learn this stitch for so long, and I finally, I was determined. I set out determined, and I did it. And I'm going to teach you how to do it the easiest way I can. I'm going to simplify it the best I can, and I think you guys are going to love it. Both sides are exactly the same. It's stretchy. It's thick. I just love it. Like, you guys have to try this. I think you will love it too. It's fun to knit. I haven't gotten bored with it yet. But yeah, I love this, guys. I think you guys will love this too. But first, before I show you how to do this, I want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel. Everyone who has liked my videos, commented on my videos, shared my videos. I am very appreciative and I thank you very, very much. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so now. If you would like to follow me on Facebook, I will leave that link in the description below. You can follow me there. You can share your pictures with me or just stop by and say hello. But yeah, right now I'm going to show you how to knit the brioche stitch or pattern. This is perfect for a scarf. You could even do a blanket, a baby blanket. I love it. You guys have to try it. You guys will love it too, I'm sure. But okay, let's get into it. It's easy. Would you guys be surprised if I told you it's a 1-row repeat? Now, I know there's a lot of other videos on YouTube that show how to do it, and some of them can be confusing, but I'm going to try my very best to make it simplified and easy for everyone. Don't be intimidated by the brioche pattern or the stitch. Nothing to be intimidated there by, I promise. All you want to do is a long tail cast on. Well, any cast on you like. I prefer the long tail cast on. And you're just going to cast on multiples of 2. That's it. A 1-row repeat with multiples of 2. That's all there is. So there's my 1. Ding. I know I should have probably already had this one cast on, but I didn't. I'm sorry. Now you guys have to watch me cast on. I apologize. But you guys are going to be so surprised on how easy this is. I think the written pattern makes it more complicated, if that makes any sense. Because the written pattern confused me. So, I don't even know how many I cast on yet. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, one more. 18. Okay. You cast on your multiples of 2, which I've done here. I've done 18. And you want to do, the very first row is a setup row. So it's the only one that's going to be different from all the rest. After this row, it's a 1-row repeat till you're done. Okay. Setup row. This is how I do it. I'm sure you've seen other videos where they do it differently, but that's okay. If you like this way, I encourage you to try it because it's easy and it's fun and the outcome is beautiful. Okay, enough of that. What you want to do first is you want to have your yarn in front, like so, and you want to slip that first stitch purlwise. You're just slipping it, okay? Keeping your yarn in front. See how I got that? I like to place my thumb there to ensure that it stays where it's supposed to stay, which is right to the right of that stitch I just slipped. Now, I'm going to insert my needle into the next stitch, ensuring that this yarn, my working yarn, stays to the right of that slip stitch, and I'm going to knit it. Okay, see how my yarn fell in the back? It's now in the back of my work. You always want to have your yarn, your working yarn, in the front. All throughout this whole stitch, your working yarn should always be in the front. The next stitch, You're going to slip one purlwise. You're going to, keeping the yarn in the front and to the right of that stitch you just slipped, you want to now knit the next stitch. My working yarn is in the back. That's a no-no. You want to bring it up front. Always up front. You want to slip that next stitch. You want to knit the next stitch. You want to bring your working yarn back up front. If you're slipping a stitch or knitting a stitch, that working yarn needs to be in the front. Slip. Knit. Bring that working yarn back up front. Slip purlwise. I should have told you that. You're always slipping purlwise. You're now knitting the next one. The yarn is in the back. I need it to be in the front. I'm going to slip that next stitch purlwise. Going to knit the next stitch. Bring my yarn back up front. Slip that stitch purlwise. Knit the next stitch. This is the setup row. And I hate when that happens. See, things happen. You just have to deal with them. Okay, my working yarn is in the back. That is a no-no. We have to bring that working yarn up front. Slip that stitch purlwise. Knit the next stitch. Do you see what we're doing here? We're slipping a stitch, knitting a stitch. Bringing our yarn forward, slipping a stitch, knitting a stitch. Okay, that was our setup row. Okay? Turning our work. Now we're going to do kind of the same thing with a little bit of a difference. And every row will be exactly like this one from now on. Okay? You want to do the same thing. You want to slip that first stitch purlwise with your yarn in the front. See, my yarn is in the front. I want to keep my working yarn to the right of that stitch I just slipped. Now you see this stitch right here? Let me try to focus my camera. Okay. See that stitch right there? It looks like a cross, or it's crossed. You want to do both of those. So what I did was I slipped my first stitch purlwise with my yarn in the front, keeping my yarn in the front. I'm now going to insert my right needle into both of those stitches, like so. See that? It's important to keep this working yarn to the right of that first stitch we slipped. Okay, I usually hold it with my thumb. And we're going to knit those two stitches together. Okay? Now our working yarn is in the back. What did I say earlier? Our working yarn always has to be in the front. Now, you'll see what we have here. And this is where it gets easy if you guys can just remember this part. There's a stitch that stands alone. See that? The stitches that stand alone will always be slipped purlwise, making sure your yarn is in front. The stitches that look crossed, those will always be knit together. So, I have my working yarn up front, I slipped a stitch, I'm keeping my working yarn to the right of that slipped stitch. Now I'm going to knit those two together. My working yarn is in the back again. Remember, it has to be in the front. If we're slipping or knitting any stitches, our working yarn has to be up front. We have a stitch that stands alone, right there, and we have a stitch that they look crossed. The stitch that stands alone gets slipped purlwise by itself. Keeping our working yarn to the right of that slipped stitch, we're now going to knit those two together. The cross stitches that look like two cross stitches, those get knit together, like so. Now we have our working yarn in the back. That needs to be up front. We have a stitch that stands alone. That gets slipped purlwise by itself. Keeping our working yarn to the right of that slipped stitch, we're now going to knit these two stitches that look crossed. Sometimes they'll be crossed, sometimes they won't, but if you slipped a single stitch, the next order is to knit the two together. If you do this, you'll understand more what I'm saying, but if you can remember that sequence, guys, working yarn always in front, you slip the stitch that stands alone purlwise, and you knit the two together, keeping your working yarn to the right of that slip stitch, you guys have it. That's all there is. Every single row is going to be like this. Keep your working yarn in front, slip the single stitch purlwise, then knit those two stitches together. The next two stitches that look crossed together. They come like in a bundle. Put your working yarn in the front, slip that single stitch by itself, keeping your working yarn in the front but to the right of that slip stitch. We're now going to knit those two bundled stitches together, like so. And I'm sorry if my camera is not focusing and you're having a hard time seeing. I'm going to go slower for this one. Our working yarn is in the back. That's a no-no. We have to bring it to the front. We're going to slip that single stitch. If you guys can see, again, my camera, oh, I need a new camera. I'm sorry, guys. One day, I promise, I'll have a nice camera with nice lights. Okay, there's a stitch that stands alone, and then you see this double stitch. The stitch that stands alone gets slipped purlwise, keeping our working yarn to the right of that slipped stitch. We're going to insert our rate needle into the bundled stitch that looks like two, and we're going to knit those two together. Again, put our working yarn in the front, slip the single stitch by itself purlwise, keeping our working yarn to the right of that slip stitch. We're going to knit the last two, the bundle stitch, together, and that's it. And that's all there is to it, guys. It's a one row repeat. I'm not lying. Who would have thought brioche was a one row repeat? I never knew it. I was always intimidated by it. It looked complicated watching other videos, but I decided I was determined to learn it, and I did. And I'm so glad I did because I love it. Again, same thing, guys. You have a single stitch. I'm going to show you guys real close. Can you see? The single stitch, it kind of stands by itself, and then you have like this double crossed stitch, a single stitch, a double crossed stitch, a single stitch. See that? If you guys try this out, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You want to take your working yarn, make sure it's in the front of your needle. If you use double points or straight needles, it'll be easy to make sure your working yarn's in the front because you can always adjust it. If you're using circulars, it's very important that you go behind it and make sure that working yarn stays in front of the needle because you can't really correct it after you've started knitting with circulars. So just keep that in mind, that you want your working yarn in the front. You want to slip that first stitch purlwise every time, keeping that working yarn up front. Hold it like I am. I mean, you want that working yarn to be to the right of that slipped stitch. Then you want to go in to the double stitch or the crossed stitch. It looks like two stitches together, and then you knit those two together. You always want to make sure your working yarn is up front if you're slipping or knitting any stitches. In this case, you slip that single stitch by itself, keeping that working yarn to the right of it, and then knitting that bundled stitch or that double stitch together. Working yarn up front, slip that first stitch purlwise, then knitting that bundled or crossed stitch together. And that's all you keep doing all the way through the whole thing, row after row, same exact repeat, and you will end up with something like this, and I love it. Can you guys see it? I really want you guys to try this. It's squishy, it's thick, it's stretchy. I love it, love it, love it. And it's fun to do, and it goes by quick. Once you get the hang of it, you kind of fall into this nice little mythical rhythm, and it's really nice. And, you know, you don't have to have super tight tension with this. You can just let the needles flow and work. You just slip, knit. I mean, always bring your yarn to the front. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. That's important. Slip those single stitches, knit those double stitches together, bring your yarn in front, slip the single, knit the doubles together. You guys, I think you're really going to enjoy this one. It's perfect for making scarves. You know, winter is coming soon here in America. We have a few more months before fall, before winter hits. Perfect time to start making your scarves. So yeah, I think you guys are really going to love it. I know I'm super excited. And next time, like I said, guys, I will be making a video here in a few weeks, probably a couple weeks, showing you how to do 2-color brioche. I just think it'll be easier. If we can get the 1 color down, the way it works, the construction of it, I think it'll make the 2-color even that much more easier. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so now. And until next time, guys, I hope you all have a fabulous day and happy knitting. Bye!